Hey everybody, I want to talk about Linea today. Now, this is not a token I own. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the ecosystem in general, but for long term, not for saying this altcoin season or anything like that. But overall, I'm very bullish on the long drive for Linea. And I want to get into today a little bit as to why. Because if you look at the price action or seeing if you know where it started when it was first launched a couple months ago to now, you're probably thinking I'm fucking nuts. Again, if I was saying Linea is going to be the top token for the next 6 months, yeah, I think that's a bunch of garbage. But the backing that it has, the fact that it is co-founded and supported by one of the original founders of Ethereum, and its whole job is to make Ethereum great again. I mean, they literally say that shit on their website. Right? There's a lot of strong momentum moving for Linea down the future. And if you're looking for a high rewarding long-term investment, like a stable one where you can look at PepsiCo, Tesla, Google, etc., you want to find one that's got strong utility, strong chance, but is right now underserved and undervalued and or new. And that's what I see Linea as. This is one that I'm going to be very active on when we get into what I think is the big bear market. And not the point of this video, we're definitely in a bear market at this moment, but I don't think it's that big 6 to 12 to 18 month bear market. When that shit arrives, I'll be scooping up and playing a lot on Linea and base ecosystem specifically. And I want to talk a little bit about that today, specifically with Linea. This is not meant to be a huge hype video, but it is a little bit of information for it, because I do think that if you can get on the grounds of a good project, it's going to pay in dividends down the road. And I'm keeping my eye on this one. So if you've been here before, you get anything good from this video, or you just enjoy it, please do press the like and subscribe button. But regardless, let's move forward and let's talk a little bit about why I really think Linea's got a strong future as a layer 2 on Ethereum. Right, but the big thing is that it was developed by a company called Consensus. Right, this is the company that is behind and parents MetaMask, Infura, Foxy, the little meme token, and of course, Linea. The key point here is full EVM equivalence. What the hell does that mean? Great question. Developers can deploy Ethereum smart contracts without changing code. Okay, big benefit of layer 2. Tooling works out of the box, meaning there's nothing you have to change for it. You just open it up and you can use the damn thing. And then Ethereum upgrades are mirrored incredibly quickly. They have all the insider knowledge because the people who made Linea made Ethereum. You can't get better insider information than that. But then from a technical standpoint, throughput has reached 6,200 TPS after recent upgrades. That's fast enough, right? Everyone competes for what's the fastest, like Hbar does 10,000 TPS. And we don't need the fastest, we need fast enough. And that's where Solana, as long as their upgrade has stopped the dropping, is in their XRP, etc. Fees are roughly 15 to 30% cheaper than Ethereum mainnet. Well, that's a good fucking deal, right? And security is inherited directly from Ethereum's zero knowledge proofs. So the mainnet for Linea just launched back in mid-2023. It quickly became one of the fastest growing layer 2s early on because of, oh, look who's backing it up, and it got a lot of hype. Good way to start it. So though Linea doesn't have a traditional CEO, it is bootstrapped and led by Joseph Lubin, again, the owner of Consensus, which in part works as an Ethereum strategic reserve. And he's, again, one of the original co-founders of Ethereum. And this matters. Again, when you talk about everything in business is who do you know that knows who? That's the guy. Lubin is the guy, right? This helps a lot with Ethereum alignment because Linea isn't trying to replace Ethereum or siphon value from it. It's trying to grow upon it with it. Right? The institutional credibility is Consensus has worked already for years with banks, enterprises, and governments. Not too shabby. It's not like they're new to this space. Governance is handled through the Linea Consortium, which includes groups like eGen Labs, ENS Labs, SharpLink, a big one. Again, Joe Lubin's kind of integrated in there. And it's all focusing on Ethereum line decisions rather than fast token-driven governments. Now, what a lot of people attack Linea for, if you've been following it all, is recent performance. They usually think price action. Let's look on the actual utility side, the numbers that matter for the company, not so much for investors' pockets yet. right? Raw usage data. Linea's performed pretty damn well for only being around a few months. It's got roughly 250 million transactions processed. Daily active users peaked around 300,000. Okay, not too effing bad. There are already hundreds of dApps that are employed across DeFi, gaming, identity, and infrastructure. TVL, that's where things get a little messy, and we just got to be direct about what the facts are. TVL peaked around 1 to 2 billion post token launch. Currently, it's down to about 300 million, give or take, depending on the market conditions. All right, this volatility is expected. It sucks if you hopped in and you weren't aware of it. You got caught on the initial pre-release pump, but jumping into coins on pre-release is risky because especially if there's early investors or VCs behind it, they bought it at fractions to what it's going to be bought at once it goes on open market. So you're going to see a lot of crypto that start price here, and as soon as it's launched, up and then spike straight down. And that certainly happened with Linea. And when they were first launching, I talked a little bit about it in a few videos. I wanted to jump in, but I wasn't willing to take that bet. I usually don't. I'm not big on pre-sales. People have made a shit ton of money doing it. But I see a lot of people that lose money from it. So I guess that's one of the things I'm just not willing to jump in risk. But if you like that style of risk tolerance, jumping in on new coins can do well. You just have to not get too greedy and get out when you think it's getting close to the top. So that's why it spiked straight down from almost 2 billion post token launch to down about 300 million now, because people sell. They got in early, they take profits. They should take profits when you can, people. You're not going to go broke taking profits. Right? And then there's more volatility from things like there's a lot of incentive cycles. There's a lot of airdrops and airdrop farming behavior just because it's new. And you got to get the word out somehow and get people interacting on the ecosystem. So short term, it shows a little bit of pain. Not to mention there is a lot of intense competition from Arbitrum and Base. And I'm very bullish on Base. As if you guys have seen many videos of mine, I am. Base and Linea. Those are going to be the two ecosystems that I plan on doing a lot of farming, some LPs depending, definitely staking on once I think we got into the big bear market. But with the competition of where it is right now, I personally do not expect Linea to be a great short-term play. It's why I haven't opted into it yet. I'm still in short-term focus mode because I fully believe we're still going to have a big altcoin pump, at least for the top 1 to 300, come by February, March at the latest. We'll see. If not by then, I'm going to start moving towards this and my bear market plan, which I've talked about before. You guys can see videos, or if you want to know more, put down the comments below. So though Linea is not dominating L2s right now, the backing that it has, the direction that it's going, and how well it's already doing and surviving very well after a giant decrease in TVL, it's going to stay around. I'm very confident that. Now let's talk a little bit about performance in terms of numbers that investors care more about. Okay, total supply, 72 billion tokens roughly. And the current price right now is roughly 6 or so cents. It was launched at around, I think, 35 cents. So it has dropped significantly in the few months it's been out. Again, it had a lot of hype, but it didn't have utility yet. And that's where it happened, that there wasn't all the dApps and everything really running to bring in money yet. It's new. Hype outpaced performance. Short-term problem in my views. Some of the other bearish pressures with the price in the near future and recent past is there are massive airdrops, right? 6.3 billion tokens to over 750,000 wallets. And if people are already the negative from buying early, they're going to have selling pressure and probably get rid of it. Those that have more of the mindset of they plan on this being a long-term play for years down the road to sell at $1, $3, $5 beyond, they're going to hold it. And you never know how much of which there is. So you got to assume there's going to be more selling pressure, right? And there's ongoing locks throughout the rest of this year, early next year. And just post-hype selling in a weak broader market, prices are probably going to go down more. I do not think we're actually at the bottom for Linea. Bullish offsets. Most of the major unlocks and airdrops have already passed. Most of the ones that are left are the smaller ones, right? Deflationary mechanisms are alive. There's buybacks. Boom. Love buybacks and burn systems. right? The supply overhang is easing, even if sentiment just hasn't caught up to it yet. So for short term, this is definitely high risk. For long term, everything early is higher risk, but I see this as a better play, at least from the way I view it. Linea's got two dexes. They go back and forth of which one is called the main dex. There's Horizon dex and there's Rex. But either way, great area for as liquidity comes in. To add more to it, I'll be looking into that for sure. And most of the value is still held in bridged assets like Ethereum, USDC, USDT, and their liquid staking tokens. But there's a very bullish catalyst coming up, and its name is Swift. Recently, Swift selected Linea for a blockchain pilot involving tokenized payments and settlements. And some of the participants were BNB Paribas, BNY Mellon, and a couple other major global banks. Swift handles trillions of dollars daily, and the pilot focuses on tokenized interbank messaging, stablecoin settlements, and multi-ledger coordination. Sounds like it should if it's a layer 2 on Ethereum connecting that shit. Linea was chosen specifically for zk privacy, Ethereum security, and institutional grade reliability. That's a shit ton of trust to put onto one system, and I like that they're being tested for this by Swift. Because if this succeeds, even partially, this positions Linea as a real bridge between TradFi and Ethereum. And that's a multi-year catalyst that will slowly pump over time, which is what a long-term investor is going to want, versus what traders want more of the quick pump and dump boom that you see coming. Now, something I really like for long-term is their deflationary models. I look for this stuff specifically for longer-term investments. They rolled out the exponent upgrade, which introduced a dual burn model. 20% of fees burn Ethereum on the system, 80% buy back and burn Linea. This is awesome. This helps strengthen Ethereum itself, which it's heavily invested in. And it ties Linea's value directly to real usage. So the more it's used, the more it actually should pump the value. The way crypto investments work, but most of them actually don't. There are no VC allocations dumping on retail at this point, and consensus for 5 more years. On top of that, bridged Ethereum can earn native staking yield. So you can even stake and earn Ethereum on this, and yield flows into DeFi without inflationary emissions. It keeps things cheaper for us. So this is a rare attempt at sustainable DeFi as a flywheel and not just an endless token incentive. And as we look ahead with Linea's roadmap, they're looking at doing sub-second block times down to about half a second, decentralized sequencers, improvers by 2027. And though this is not a guaranteed win, if Ethereum continues to dominate even a little bit, being in the top 5, which I know there's a lot of people that think Solana or XRP is going to outdo Ethereum, and in time, maybe. But as long as Ethereum's still one of the leaders, Linea's got a direct tie towards Ethereum, tighter than any other layer 2. It's positioned as infrastructure, not a side chain. It's deeply integrated with MetaMask, which helps out with distribution as that keeps growing because it's looking at becoming its own DEX as well. Institutional pilots will give it legitimacy that other layer 2 simply just don't have, really outside of Base. And at current valuations, Linea looks undervalued. Its RSI, when I checked, is just at the oversold marker, but there is still some risks, obviously, for long term. So my quick take from Linea is I do think it's going to be later one of the main layer 2s, it and Base. I think they're going to run the layer 2s on Ethereum. I don't think it's going to have the biggest potential in the next 6 months to 2 years, but that's my opinion. I am curious about yours. Are you in Linea? Do you play in the ecosystem? Have you farmed any of the airdrops? What is your outlook on it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you all again soon.